Hey guys, welcome to another review. This one was supposed to go up last week, but I caught a cold. Right now I'm still recovering from that cold. I'm not 100% yet, so if my voice gets weak or I start jumbling words together, please forgive me. Maybe I should be doing this when I'm healthier, but I don't want to make you guys wait more for this one because I did have it fully ready last week. So anyway, let's get right into it. Fear of Victory is another Scarecrow episode, and though he gets a solid amount of screen time, this episode focuses on another character just like Nothing to Fear did, this time being Robin. If I'm correct, this is only the second episode with Robin I've reviewed. The Dick Grayson Robin is well utilized, even when the show was changed to The Adventures of Batman and Robin, and I absolutely love the costume. It's pretty much the classic suit with green pants, which makes him distinct from Batman's black and gray look. Whenever I think of what Robin looks like, his costume in Batman the Animated Series is the first thing I picture. The episode begins with Dick Grayson in his college, which is a very good excuse to have Robin show up sometimes and have other times where Batman works solo. Dick's roommate, Brian Rogers, an up-and-coming football star, gets a really unusual telegram, which more firmly plants this series in an ambiguous past world. The Scarecrow's plan is to expose star athletes in Gotham to a fear toxin that acts up whenever the players get their adrenaline pumping. I didn't realize this the first time, but in Scarecrow's telegram it says, "Only a fool knows no fear. I'm betting on it." This lets the audience figure out before it's revealed that Scarecrow is racking up cash by betting against the athletes he poisons. Sure enough, Brian has a giant freakout after having a terrible game, constantly scared because his adrenaline has been up the whole time. The name of the episode comes from Scarecrow's plan, which is clever, but it's also clever how it relates to Robin. Robin was a trapeze artist where he had to put on an adrenaline-charged show for people. Exposing him to the same fear toxin takes one of his greatest strengths away, making it understandable why he's as much of a mess as he is throughout the episode, even with the fear toxin. This is a cool distinguishing factor between a Batman Scarecrow episode and a Robin Scarecrow episode. Batman's greatest fears are much more psychological in nature than Robin, who has a more sound state of mind. It makes sense that Robin's fears would be more equated to being physically useless. That being said, Fear of Victory is not all that exciting of an episode. What this episode really needed was higher stakes, so the audience was more invested in Robin being able to help Batman with something he couldn't do alone. There are several moments where Robin talks about being useless to Batman and how detrimental his fear is, but the audience doesn't really get a sense of how bad this is in the particular situation Batman and Robin are in this episode. At the end, the episode tries to raise the stakes by Scarecrow dropping fear toxin on a football crowd below, Robin succeeding in catching it while Batman was not able to stop Scarecrow from dropping the toxin, but this kind of thing needed to be throughout the episode and not just the end. It feels a little like too little too late. However, I do buy Robin's strength of character, being able to resist the fear and at the end save many lives, which is ultimately the most important thing to get right. But Fear of Victory lacks a dynamic plot, which you kind of want in an episode dealing with your character's fears. One improvement I'll give this episode over Nothing to Fear is the Scarecrow himself. The design of his mask is infinitely better than before, and he gets a particular scene where he's actually intimidating. With Scarecrow in disguise and constantly winning bets, a bookie gets suspicious and sends one of his thugs to find out why the Scarecrow, who is going under the name Lucky, keeps winning. The music and backgrounds while the thug is following Lucky goes a tremendous way into ramping up the tension, especially with the shadows in the cancelled horse show building. I really like how the Scarecrow doesn't really try to hide how much he was winning because he could use the fear toxin on anyone who got suspicious. This confidence helped the Scarecrow become a more worthy Batman villain, and how in control he was when he was terrifying the thug that was following him made the Scarecrow genuinely unnerving compared to how he was in his first appearance. I also give this episode major kudos for managing some detective work from both Batman and Robin. Batman is the one who figures out how the fear toxin works through contact with the skin and goes into Arkham Asylum to find out if Scarecrow escaped. I love how Batman intimidates the guard that presumably let the Scarecrow loose just by looking at him when the guard tries to tell Batman he's not allowed to see the cells. The Arkham Asylum scene gets more fun as Batman passes familiar villains as he goes to Scarecrow's cell, each with their unique musical themes from their episodes. The Joker even gets a fun line or two and a classic laugh when Batman finds out that Scarecrow escaped. Robin contributes to the investigation at the end by figuring out which player Scarecrow is going to poison next, and messing up Scarecrow's plan. The episode really needed this and saving the football crowd to balance out the scenes where Robin cannot do anything more than be afraid. Another good counterbalance is Batman himself, who stays calm and encourages Robin to take steps towards recovery. The viewer gets a good sense of why Batman and Robin make a good team. On the whole, Batman did get to show his more gentle side this episode, especially when he smiles at the woman whose apartment he crashed into when trying to stop two thieves, while Robin was experiencing his first fear attack. This scene best showcases how detrimental turning adrenaline to fear is for Robin, more so than any of the other scenes that focus on this throughout. When Batman reaches for Robin's hand, all he can do is shake and cling to the building. My only complaint with this action sequence is that it goes on a bit too long, but I really like the shot where Batman is falling and he shoots his grapple gun up. I know this review has been kind of all over the place, but I think the action sequence at the end was just at the right length, and was made more exciting by comparing the recovery of the football games with Robin's actions. The plot for Fear of Victory was nothing spectacular, but it gets the most important elements right, and there's still enough entertainment value. Speaking of, the animation this time around is consistent enough, but reflects the story of this episode. Excuse me. The animation was lacking certain energy to really make this episode engaging. The moments where the animation was at its best was when Batman tests the fear toxin on a cat, and when Robin swings using his grapple gun to catch the vial of fear toxin falling towards the crowd. The character designs did look good, especially a few parts where Batman is in shadow. Voice acting was top-notch as usual. I don't think I mentioned Lauren Lester as Dick Grayson, but he did a superb job. This episode doesn't show off the best of Lauren Lester's acting. That's mostly because Robin isn't his usual jokey self in his story. But it makes sense that he wouldn't be, though Robin's Reckoning is still a better performance of a Robin story where he can't be lighthearted. Like Pollak, Lauren Lester as Robin fits extremely well with how the character design looks, and he can pull off the wisecracks and dramatic moments. Last time, I don't think I talked about Henry Pollak as the Scarecrow either. He did a good job as well, though his voice was not particularly unnerving. He did a better job at bringing in the mad scientist quality, especially when the Scarecrow insults the thug he poisons. Lost? You have that bewildering look, but your sort always does. The entire scene was extremely effective, and Henry Pollak brought his best performance. Before I change topics, I want to mention that there is a shot right when Scarecrow says the word lost, which reminds me a lot of anime. Just how the camera moved and the fact that the Scarecrow's face didn't move at all while talking because of the mask he was wearing to be disguised as Lucky felt like it had a different energy than Batman the Animated Series usually has, more akin to anime. It's not important at all, but I wanted to mention it and see if anyone else that watched this episode felt that. The part where the thug is following Lucky, I've already said, has great music. The music stands out and is more effective here than in any other scene. They also brought back Scarecrow's theme from Nothing to Fear, which is perfect and creepy. My final verdict on Fear of Victory is positive on the whole. Both Scarecrow and Robin get memorable moments, but the stakes needed to be greater to build more excitement and get the audience truly sucked in. Still, the episode has good humor, like when Batman terrifies a messenger boy, thinking it's the Scarecrow, and the action is entertaining enough. Robin's part in the story is pulled off just right, so I rate Fear of Victory a 4 out of 5. Thanks for joining me again, and next time we get a pretty unique villain in The Clock King. I appreciate the support, so until then, take care. The Clock King review will probably take me as long as it took me to put out the Fear of Victory review because I have to work on something else. Hope you guys can forgive me for that, so until next time, take care.